Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. If you missed my last video on this, I talked about how Kabam crashed, understandably, is terrified of 8-star champions, and that's why the economy of the game had to slow down to a halt for about 13 months in 2023 and extended into 2024. And now the economy is changing, and we have rank 4 7-stars for the first time, and that's why the Banquet was as thirsty for whales as it was. But we're continuing with a post, you can just call this part 2 of that video, where it said, why did Banquet 2024 cost more than Banquet 2023? The MCOC economy is really interesting, at least to me, is that it has both deflationary and inflationary at the same time. It's deflationary in that almost everything gets less valuable over time. Players are keenly aware of this as they interact with the game. They know something that cost 1,000 units today will cost 500 units. At some point in the not so distant future, there's a reason for every modern economy targets modest inflation. People knowing things will get cheaper over time is bad for business. But deflation is a quick quirk of most live service game economies that we have to deal with. However, at the same time, the MCOC economy is inflationary in that the money supply units is increasing over time. Here are a couple of reasons for this. First is unit yields have increased. DNA has a good post here in which he estimates arena yields per hour have roughly tripled in the last 4 years. Investigations I've conducted have shown similar numbers. So, the arena has made 3 times the amount of units for time invested. That's a pretty significant statement. At the same time, yields are increasing. The war players spend units is changing, or the way, players spend units is changing. As I mentioned above, our veteran players have gotten really, really good at the game. A substantial portion of units earned by players used to be spent on consumables and quests, Alliance Quest and Alliance War. Now quests and game modes represent almost no unit spending for in-game players. So because players are both earning more units and spending less of them on consumables, it creates inflationary pressure on sales and other offers. If we designed J4 Cyber Week and the Banquet event so that most players could get the best stuff for free, we would be out of business pretty quickly. So as players earn and save more units, events will get more expensive. It's true that if you finish every milestone in every arena, the total ceiling for units available in arena is unchanged. However, the vast majority of arena grinders don't do that. If you are one of the few who does every milestone in every arena all year long, I suspect you don't have a problem taking advantage of events like Banquet. I used to do that, and it just made me crazy. It literally put me in the hospital. I'm convinced that arena is part of the reason why I couldn't keep up the day-to-day demands of my lifestyle. It was just too much. Why don't you care about Valiant players? Why do all the progressions get the same thing? Why have you devalued my progression? Of the 4 major sales of the event, the Banquet event is the only one without bespoke offers and rewards for the type of progression. So as to say we don't care about those players during sales events feels a bit myopic. Truth is probably 80% of the game team's resources are dedicated to in-game players. Most of our quest resources are dedicated to making content for the in-game. Most of our champions are made thinking about how in-game players will play with them, and most of our multiplayer modes are designed with in-game players in mind. I have seen people suggest that Valiant players were getting Thronebreaker rewards, but that isn't the case. There were multiple full rank 3s in this event. That clearly isn't like an event tuned to Thronebreaker players. Generally, when we combine progressions in like an event like Banquet, we tune the rewards to the highest progression included. In this case, that was Valiant. As I mentioned in my post-mortem post this past year, despite it being somewhat counterintuitive, the Banquet event is one of our least top-heavy events in terms of the percentage of players' participation coming from in-game players. All of this is fascinating. So why was Banquet 2024 worse than Banquet 2023 from an objective standpoint? It wasn't. Ooh. Kabam crashed, fired back. There were the solo event milestones. So yeah, we know that the best part about the Banquet are the milestones. Kabam crashed is obviously going to argue that. Despite the fact that rank 3s had already been available through content like Necropolis and offers, Cyber Week, the solo event last year, included only a single Tier 6 class catalyst, enough for 25% of rank 2. This year, Nobody went into the Banquet event with a rank 4, yet there was a full rank 3 available in the solo milestones. It's true going to the end of the event was more expensive, but what was available throughout the event was substantially better than what was on offer last year. This is ignoring the fact that the Realm event existed, and there was even greater stuff available through guaranteed milestones, including a second rank 3. You said you care about the game balance. Then why did you do X, Y, and Z? I should have been clearer and more explicit in my initial comments, so I'm going to clarify here. The point is I was making was simply this: milestones and ranked rewards are limited. Banquet crystals are unlimited. So from the perspective of managing the game's economy, it is much easier for us to plan, predict, and manage the gap created by the Banquet event if we focus most on the rewards and the limited channels rather than the unlimited channel. In other words, milestones is easier for them to focus on than crystals, which makes the crystals worth, well, a lot less to open. And we knew that going in. Okay, but the top spinners already have every 7-star. Why couldn't the crystals have more stuff in them? Because of what I discussed above. We need to think ahead. If we keep playing this game for the next 10 years. From the top spinner's perspective, yes, they have most or all of the existing 7-stars, but what about the champions we are releasing next year? Our top spinners all went into next year with hundreds of Titan crystals ready to go. Where does that leave us for our new champion releases? Not in a good spot. Similarly, what happens if moderate spenders all came out with the Banquet feeling like their 7-star rosters were complete? These players, myself included, aren't going to start spending on large quantities of Valiant crystals chasing new champions. What do we reward them with next year? And what do we sell them? What can we possibly do for the Banquet 2025 that doesn't end 7 stars? Oh. Again, an allusion to 8 stars. What can we do possibly for the Banquet 2025 that doesn't end 7 stars? That just gets me shaken up. We simply aren't yet at a place in the 7-star life cycle where every Banquet crystal can include a heap of champion acquisition materials. That would simply leave us no room to grow. Why would you lie to us? I do my best to communicate openly and honestly with the community, and I'm human. Sometimes I make mistakes, but I've never deliberately deceived any of you. I do have to say I'm getting pretty sick of people calling me a liar for things I actually never said. In this case, I've seen a lot of people quote me. Some version of the crystals are so crazy that Throneburger players will be running around with rank 3s. This isn't what I said. What I said was we are going to have probably thousands of uncollected players with the 7-star rank 3 after this event. That might seem like semantics, but in this context, it's actually really important, because if you actually watch that part of the live stream, you will see I'm making the opposite point of what some players claim I was saying. The point I'm making is that despite not having access to some new superior Banquet crystal, the event is going to be really good for uncollected and Cavalier players. I'm reassuring them of the quality of the life, the rest of the event, everything but the Banquet crystals. So, this again can be another 10-minute video. Let's go to final thoughts. Last year I identified 4 opportunities for improvement with the Banquet. This year the main takeaway for me is that we need to make the crystals more fun. The poor crystal opening experience alongside the sky-high expectations we set clearly created a bad experience for some summoners. Hopefully this write-up better sets expectations for next year and provides some context for how we make these decisions. Thank you for all that continue to support the game, and for 3 of the funnest years of my adult life. I look forward to what's to come. Kabam Crash. So, yeah. Glad I did this in 2 different parts. Kabam crashed, missed the fact that this is supposed to be fun. I mean, for the most part, he just ignored that. If you look at things like just with statistics and numbers, it becomes, I don't know, like talking about math. But this game is not math. This game is, well, big yellow numbers, I guess, is technically math. But it's about enjoyment. It's about fun. And we have to be honest about that when we talk about events like the Banquet. If you're not having fun opening crystals, you just feel ripped off. So, I could go on a lot more about this, but I want to keep this video under 10 minutes long, because this is already longer than usual. So, thank you to all of you 1%ers that watched every second of this video. What do you think about the Banquet? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a good one.